Good morning, everybody. Wednesday morning, 9:30, and as usual, we're doing our live with David Gazarian from IQ Mortgage Rates. Waiting for a quick second for him to join us, talking about the market, talking about the limited inventory that we are experiencing right here in Nevada market, and also the latest news in the mortgage industry. So while I'm waiting for David to join our live, I'm glad to tell you that the latest news from the real estate market. So this week in particular, we have an extremely low inventory. If you guys look at the new listings coming to the market, we have in the last 7 days, we had 738 listings added to the market, and at the same time we had 943 listings that went under the contract. What it tells me that fewer and fewer people are listing their homes on the markets, and more people are interested to buy. Why people are still buying with those high interest rates is because they are absolutely seeing the opportunity in this market. They're taking advantage of having the sellers. There are a lot of motivated sellers. There are closing costs, and there are a lot of sellers that are actually willing to work with the buyers on different terms. Good morning, David. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Alexandra?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, so let's talk about some fun stuff. Good morning,
Absolutely. There's some interesting topics that came up on the mortgage market, and obviously we would like to hear your perspective and see your perspective. Number one thing that I want you to comment on, because I got bombarded with this question even though I'm not a loan officer, but I've got people calling and texting me about the 40-year FHA mortgage. Did the government actually come up with this idea? Like, do we really have the 40-year FHA, or is it too early to actually celebrate and to figure out that we're out of the woods and there is a new loan program or the new timing on the market?
I wanna say hi to Lily, who just joined. What's up, brother? Yeah. So sorry, I had to. Now, there is no 40-year mortgage, to my knowledge, that we're able to do. If there was, trust me, my inbox would have been full of a whole bunch of emails from lenders. There is no 40-year mortgage for purchase for you to go and apply for one. But if you're in trouble, if you have lates and you need the bank or the government, in this case, to help you with your mortgage payments, I believe the 40-year term for modifications only was made possible recently, last month, which means if you apply for a loan modification and you do qualify, I have no idea what the qualifications are, what the requirements are, but your servicer, your current bank that you're making payments to, they will go through a certain checklist, and if you do qualify, they will modify your loan. Instead of being a 30-year loan, they will lengthen the amortization to 40-year loan, thus lowering your monthly payments. That is available if you qualify for modifications only.
So there is no 40-year FHA loan to begin with, to actually apply for. We're only talking about the loan modifications in case somebody is struggling with making their payments. Excellent. So thank you for clarifying that, because as usual, the media put it very at the top of headlines, but as usual, there is
there's the big news, but that creates a lot of confusion instead of clarity.
The true news is when I call my partners, that would be you, that would be Lily, on Mondays. I put a lot of thought into when I call you guys, what is it of value that I'm going to tell you that Monday. And I don't have any information about 40-year mortgages. That would be awesome, but that would push us back to 2008, I'm afraid. So I have 40-year mortgages for non-QM loans, the bank statement, whatnot, but not a government-sponsored Federal Housing Administration, FHA loan. God, no.
And we're very grateful for your Monday news, and we're going to come back to it a little bit later because I do have another question to ask of you.
Yeah.
And this is this is the new rule that was supposed to come into effect on May 1st, and now I believe it has been pushed back to August 1st. But the way it reads to, the way it reads to consumer is that we're going to be penalized. The buyers with the higher credit scores and bigger down payments are going to be penalized. So now it is, like, as of May, not now, but as of August 1st, it is better to make a lower down payment and to have a lower credit score. Instead of having like 720 and going 20% down, it is more beneficial for the consumer to have 680 and go 5% down.
Well,
how like it is totally controversial. How, like, can you give us your perspective?
It's really not true. That's not how it works. So I found a website, and this guy has done a really, really good analysis. Unfortunately, I printed it black and white. So what happens is, number one, I always tell clients that the best credit score you can have in our industry is 740. 740 puts you in tier one, always has. Now, what Fannie Mae is trying to introduce is two more brackets, 760 and 780, because so often I sit across in this conference room, across clients that have like 800, a couple of days ago, 819. This person had a credit score. I'm like, it's not helping you. It's the same as 741. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to introduce 760 and 780, two more thresholds, and those are going to be beneficial. But they're trying to, first of all, discourage investment purchases, second home and purchases. They're trying to somehow push people, make first-time home buyers or more affordable people with lower credit scores, like more affordable. But what the gist of this change is someone that would be between 740, 760, 720, 749, and putting less than 20% down, that person would be affected the most. And people with 640 credit score, 95, basically 5% down, they're being affected the least. So what this means is if you had 640 credit score in the past and you were putting a 5% down, it would cost you an extra 2.75% to your interest rate. You would get an interest rate like, I don't know, today would be north of 8%, some ugly, ugly rate. What they're saying is they're lowering that hit to 1.75. So it's less severe. It's still expensive. You're still paying for having bad credit because you have bad credit. So someone with better credit has demonstrated a better diligence, I suppose, is being rewarded somehow. But if you have better credit, you're being penalized the less that you did in the past, but you're still being penalized. It's a mess. It's called LLPA, loan level price adjustment. So as loan officers, when we open a client, we look at whether your property type, your credit score, your down payment. There's so many things that do affect your loan level price adjustment. And all Fannie Mae is doing is changing up the game and changing loan level price adjustments, helping people with lower credit scores. And I guess it's going to cost a bit more to people that have higher credit scores.
And actually, now that we're on this topic, I would love to ask you to unwrap a few questions. First of all, about the how it is, like about the credit score tiers. That, you know, like that if you have, let's say, whether you have 700 or 720, and a lot of people, they would run and they would pay off their credit cards and spend, you know, like a vast amount of their down payment on paying down their credit cards just to know that nothing changed on their credit score or they stayed in the same tier. Can you please talk to us about the tiers and then how those tiers are connected to the interest rate? You know, like what is the correlation with your credit score tier and the interest rate that you get at the end?
Of course. So again, there are four major groups of mortgages: USDA, VA, FHA, and conventional. I'm really not going to talk about VA, FHA. VA and USDA, because I honestly, USDA being like out of the metro area, let's focus on FHA conventional right now, right? So they have loan level price adjustment, as I mentioned. Conventional requires a minimum of 620 FICO score. FHA requires a minimum of 580 credit score. This doesn't mean if you have 581, you're automatically granted a mortgage. It means we can continue working on it, because at the end of the day, we're going to run what's called automated underwriting approval, the DU, desktop underwriter, and this electronic system is the one that determines whether you have a mortgage or not. The good news is we can massage the numbers. We can do things to compensate and increase the chances of getting an approval. Sometimes we'll run it like 15 different times. We'll bring in a co-borrower. We will add a bit more reserves for, I don't know, 6 months to 12 months. So we do massage the numbers to make sure that you do get that approval. But just a general knowledge, FHA requires 580 FICO score, conventional requires 620 FICO score minimum.
Does it mean that the higher is my credit score, the better rate I'm going to get as
Absolutely.
a consumer?
That's what this means, really. This loan level price adjustment is the higher your credit score, the less hits you have. So, for example, if you have 780 credit score and you're putting 30% down, you have 0 hits. If you have 639 or less FICO score and you're putting 3% down, that's like the opposite spectrum, then you're being hit almost 2%.
And when you're telling me that I'm getting hit by 2%, does it mean that my interest rate is going to be at least 2% higher than the par rate that is offered by the lenders on the day I'm locking the rate?
Exactly,
or does it mean that it costs me more like upfront, let's say, when I'm closing?
Costs. It affects your interest rate. It is not closing costs, and that's correct. Different people get different par rate, and we do demonstrate when we usually price out our mortgages in front of them on this big screen, and we'll tell them this is your par. Anything below this costs you. Anything above this is a credit to you, to your closing costs. And we do look at different scenarios, and we want to make sure the clients here, they get involved, they make notes. It's very educational.
I know you guys go very visual on everything that you do, and that helps people understand how much exactly they're bringing to the table, how much exactly it's going to cost them, and what are all of the possible scenarios that they can come into the purchase with. So
the bottom line is, if you're planning on buying a house, if you have less than 40% down, which is going to be 90% of my clients, 95% of my clients, but less than 40% down. If you have both less than 40% down and less than 680 credit score, you probably want to buy a house before August, before these pricing changes take effect. Otherwise, it's going to cost more in interest rates. So what's happening, I think the Fed is going to start lowering rates at some point, whether that be in June or September. He will start easing off. He has to. That is bound to happen. But Fannie Mae is sort of compensating, increasing rates, calling LLPAs, loan level price adjustments. So the Fed prime rate will jump, but Fannie Mae is trying to sort of step in and control who gets to buy homes.
And we have Victoria saying thank you. And Victoria, we hope that you already moved into your brand new, beautiful home.
Oh, is that her?
Yes, that's her. That was Victoria saying thank you. And I'm very happy. Oh, absolutely. You didn't see her Instagram post. She did post her beautiful kitchen with the brand new granite counter. It's an open concept, and it's a wonderful home. So you see those lives. She loves it, and it's a brand new community. We got a great deal. We got a great negotiation going. Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you.
We're thankful that you keep on choosing us through the years to help you out, and
she
we hope that
some tax clients to our tax office, so she's a tier 1 client.
Well, yes. And thank you for being with us, and we hope that you and your family are super happy in this new KB community. And I'll be honest with you, like, as much of a discount as we were able to negotiate for Victoria on the purchase price from a new home builder without using their lender, that was a killer deal. Like, at some point.
Yeah.
At some point, you know, like, if Victoria,
I felt sorry for the KB people. I really felt sorry for the KB people.
No.
Yeah.
We'll just read contracts. Yeah, we have one bad, you know, like, we had one bad habit. We read contracts better than the builders do. So, and when you do, you can take advantage of it. But it's all there. It's all on paper. The question is, who reads it better? But we love KB. Thank you to them. And one of the things,
I have lost 8 deals in the last month to KB's in-house lenders. So we love KB very much. Yes, guys.
And I mean, like, their technology is great. Like, their technology is great. Like, one thing that I can tell about the KB homes, and I had I worked with a lot of KB homes in 2011 and 12, and it was the time of the short sales and foreclosures. And this is when I fell in love with their construction, how energy efficient they were. Because when in 11 and 12, when people were short selling and foreclosing their homes, a lot of times they would turn the utilities off, including the power off in 120 degrees. So the only homes that you could still enter and still survive with no power and no AC going in the middle of Las Vegas summer was the KB. Because they're really nicely insulated, and they keep the air, even if it was like 120 outside. You go into the house and it was 85. Wow. Meantime, you go into any other home, you know, like, with no power on during the summer, and it's going to be even hotter inside than it is outside.
Is it insulation code? Like, you have to do it by a certain code? Are you saying they're doing it, like, over what the code requires?
Yes. So there are certain builders. So insulation, we're not only talking about the material, the insulation that they put in between the walls. So there's different ratings of the insulation, which is required, but they're not required to put the higher rating. And then they actually do extra layers. And something that is done by KB and Bizard Homes, those two builders, they're actually applying extra insulation, and this is why when you come into their homes, you will see something that is usually very vividly demonstrated. It's going to be your power bill, your projected power bill compared to the same house, the same resale home. And your power bill will be like $150 to $250 lower compared to the house of the similar size. And that's I think that is it can be a big difference, because if you're in this, at this time, if you're paying so much for your interest rate and your mortgage payment is so high, saving this $200 on your utility bill per month till the end of the lifetime of the house, it's a big deal.
Yeah, you don't have to get solar panels if it's that good. But let's not turn this into I'm a lender, don't forget. We're not big fans of these builders nowadays. I have sent like 8 clients to KB's internal lending this just in March alone, really. So, yeah.
Well, I think it's a good idea to remind people that, yes, builders do have their internal lenders, but those lenders are usually work with 3 products. It's going to be FHA, conventional, and VA. If you guys are not a straightforward, like perfectly, like perfect file,
Call David.
the builder's lender is not going to work with you if you're not perfect, if your profile is not perfect, if there's something that needs to be done and adjusted, or there is an extra step that needs to be done with your paperwork, then, like builders lenders, they're just going to tell you no, because they're not there to, like, they're there to process the volume. They're not there to provide
the plethora of mortgage products that we have. They really don't need to have so many clients. And I guess what we need to tell our viewers is, if you should definitely go and check out their deals, what they're contributing. Not every builder gives concessions, but if they're giving concessions, talk to your loan officer. Your loan officer will probably tell you to go to their lender because it's so much. But if you have a product that they don't offer, you can still get the concessions from them. This was our case with this prior client. And if your broker, and again, brokers have the biggest array of like product, right? Like bank statements, DSCRs, no docs. You say it, we have it, stated incomes, all those, reduced docs, all docs. So if you have a pre-approval from your broker, you take that pre-approval to the builder, and the builder doesn't have that product, they should still give the concession to your client, which means you get to sell the home, builder gets to sell the home, and your client gets, which is the most important thing, they get the concessions and closing costs and all. That's very, very important.
The way we look at it as real estate agents, that if, like, to us, all the clients are the same. So if you can give concession to client A on this house, and the client A is financing with your lender, then you should be able to give the concession to the client B, who is not willing to get the financing with the builder's lender. But why this client is not supposed to get the concessions? Like, I am for, I'm for the equal opportunity. So we're looking for the same great deal for all of our clients, and that's why, if the builder cannot do it, that's why we come to you. And remember, like, especially for those people who are, I know we have fewer of those, but those who are still looking to make an investment, those people need to remember that conventional loans, they have a cap on the concessions for the investment properties. So if you see on a brochure that the builder is going to give you a concession of 4%, but you're buying an investment property, guess what? It is not happening, because there is a cap. Exactly. There is a cap on the concession. So, you guys need to do your homework, and that's what you need the agents for, because we know all these rules and regulations. We consult with the loan officers, and there's nothing wrong for you to go and shop around. Sometimes you walk into the builder's office and it seems like they're offering you a great deal, and then you might go to the loan officer, to the mortgage broker, with the printout from the builder, and actually sit down and compare if that is really good deal, or if there's anything that could be done. At a minimum, you get the same interest rate, but the better service.
Thank you.
which working with the builder means a lot. It is not as scary to work with the resale as it is to work with the builder. And for those of you guys who never been in the contract with the new home builder, I would tell you that your your contingencies are very, very
Hard.
strict. Yes. And your earnest money deposit goes hard on day 5. And it is very, very thin ice that you're walking on when you were signing the contract with the builders. So to be able to trust your lender in this process and to be able to qualify, like you really need, if you need somebody to hold your hand when you're buying a home, like a resale home, then when you're buying a home from the builder, you need like 5 hands to hold you. Like,
Here's it.
Absolutely walk you down this road.
So one of the things that I tell clients, Alexandra, this is like something that I've been saying for such a long time, especially for someone that doesn't qualify immediately, because most people have to do some type of homework to qualify for a mortgage, even if it's 2 weeks or a month. It really depends. So if I cannot issue your approval right off the bat within like 30 minutes, what I tell people is, I will not give up on you. I will hold your hand until your agent hands you the key. And it doesn't matter how long it is. So it's up to you not to give up on us. And the funny story is, we have a client, she's in a contract. She was referred to us on April 22 of last year. So she didn't have a job. It's been 12 months that we worked with her. She got a job. We brought in a co-signer, had to fix credit, had to save up money, and she never gave up on us. And we never, of course, gave up on her. She's on contract. She's getting $10,000 of concessions. She's going to have a wonderful, beautiful home that will close soon. And it's such a interesting example of perseverance. She wants a home. She was so far from it a year ago. I think the smart thing for me as a businessman would be just to tell her that you don't qualify. Here's a to-do list. Go do it. And she would have never done it. We stuck around with her. We followed up with her. We made sure that she did do those things month after month after month. And it came to a point she did qualify. And now she's in contract. And I'm so proud of her.
And this is what I actually love about you and your team, that you guys actually hold our clients' hands and you help them through the year, because there's so many crucial and focal points within 1 year that you need to pay attention to.
The agent had forgotten about her. Honestly, this is so funny. He had forgotten about it. I'm like, here's a pre-approval. Like, who is this? Like, yeah, you gave us this client a year ago. She didn't qualify, but it's so cool. I mean, this makes what we do worth it.
Absolutely, you walk people to their dream,
yeah.
And you know, it is important if you guys have a dream of owning a home, you should see the loan officer every time before you file the taxes. And this is one of the conversations that I had with my great clients. You know, like we've been together for many years, and we've done many deals with them. And we were talking with these guys, and they're a young family, and I love seeing them, you know, like buying their first home, and now they're in their second home. And yesterday they told me that there is a house on their street that exactly the same model that is being sold for less money than they purchased their home for a year ago. And I asked them, how do they feel about it? And they were like, you know, we still feel like we made a right decision. And I'm like, can I support your point of view? And we started talking about it. So I explained to them that right now, even like David will help me out with this. So they bought their house at $475,000 a year ago with the interest rate of 4%, and that was high. That was right after, you know, like that was like the beginning of 2022. It was high, and they were a little bit upset that they didn't lock the rate like sooner.
Sure.
Like before January. But what happened is that their payment right now is $2,200 on $475,000 purchase price. And the house that is sitting next to them, like the same model, is 430, and they're like, oh, they already dropped the price a couple of times. And I'm like, David, how much would it cost right now with the 10% down to buy, or 20% down to buy the house at 430, and what would be the payment?
I don't have a computer. It would be at least $1,000 more that I could tell you.
Yeah, that's
so you'll be closer to 3,000, at least $1,000 more. That's what 2022 did to us. It, on an average $400,000 house, our payment went up $1,000, which means way less people can qualify for a very average home now. But I just don't have the keyboard handy.
It's okay. It's okay. Sorry for putting you on the spot. But the reason why I tell you guys the story is because, first of all, you know, like, we don't talk about do not think about the house prices. Think about the affordability. And I think this is what most buyers and most people that have a dream of buying a home should concentrate on. You should concentrate on your monthly payment and affordability versus the house price. Because once again, from the conversation with my buyers, in order for them to have, to buy a house right now and to have $2,200 payment, their house price should be probably around $270, correct? 300,000. Yep. So in this case, they need
Give me 1 second.
Literally, they need to.
If you want numbers, I could give them to you. Give me 1 quick second.
I know you can ballpark the numbers, but the bottom line is that right now their house needs to almost lose 40% of value in order to match this $2,200 payment. And obviously, there are no signs of this trend happening on the market. So is it a good time to buy? It is a good time to buy if you can afford it. It is a good time to buy if you see a great deal and you qualify. Because guys, what happens is this: when you qualify for a loan and you can afford a payment with the 7% interest rate, when the rates go down and you actually refinance your house, you will be in a better position. But what is not going to happen when the rates go down is that the housing prices are not going to go down with the lower rates. Every single time we have lower interest rates, the demand grows and the housing prices are going up. And honestly, this is exactly what is happening on the market right now. I know you guys watch your neighbors on Zillow being on the market for 60 days, panicking and dropping the prices.
That's crazy.
I know it is crazy, but for somebody who's been in this business for 12 years, guys, I can tell you that in Las Vegas market, the normal time on the market for a house of $400,000 to $600,000, it is 70 days on the market. This is our normal time. So stop panicking and stop thinking that your only solution is dropping the price. David, this is where I want your, it's great that you opened up your computer and the keyboard, because
numbers.
I want to explain something to our audience, and especially, those people who are watching, they might be having their house for sale right now,
right,
and they don't understand why it is not selling. And every 30 days, their agent comes to them and they're like, oh, let's drop the price. Guys, I want to tell you, do not drop the price. Give the concession.
Absolutely. If you have a smart loan officer, they'll explain it to you.
David, can you please give us the numbers in the example? Let's say if we have a house with the purchase price of $550 and we're getting it with 10% down, let's say. So what happens if the seller how is the payment going to look like? Let's say I give you an offer of 540 and I get this house for 540, or I give an offer for 550 and I ask for $10,000 off of the seller concessions to buy down the rate.
Sure. Okay. So you give a house listed at 550. If you approach and offer a $540,000, if the house is truly worth 550, then you're basically creating an instant $10,000 equity for yourself. Does that make sense? You're buying a $550,000 home for 550. You've got a $10,000 equity. What I tell clients, at least to me, in my opinion, equity is such a fluid thing. It's good. It's your net worth. It's your wealth. But it's fluid because when we go back to rates dropping and prices increasing, and we have to. Once we go start. So whether you make your $10,000 back in 3 months or 6 months or 8 months, it really is irrelevant if you're planning on living in it. So what is relevant is making sure that it's affordable today. So $540,000 home with 10% down, you're going to have $3,843 of payments, and you will have $6,000 of closing costs at least, between 6 and 8, right? So please write this down: $3,843 and $6,000 of closing costs.
Okay, $3,843. This is the down payment.
That's the monthly payment, including everything.
$3,843.
Yeah. Okay. Now you're getting this $550,000 home with 10% down, but now you're asking for a $10,000 concession.
I'm asking for $10,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're asking for a $10,000 concession, which means you're not spending the $6,000 that's going to go towards closing costs. You've got $4,000 to spend on rate buy down, and the $4,000. Again, guys, don't hold us to this, but this should be roughly about half a point in interest rate buy down. Now you're going to have 6.5% payment. So here's what happens. Your monthly payment becomes $36.98. which is an effective $145 of savings per month, and you saved $6,000 in your pocket.
Okay, now can you calculate the scenario if I take the whole $10,000
and buy down
and apply them towards the buy down of the interest rate?
But one thing I want to tell people, and one thing I want to stress, if you have money in your checking account, that money should be worth more to you than equity in a home. Equity drops, equity goes up. It's so fluid. Cash is cash. It's hard cash. It's in your bank account. So they worth the same. $6,000 is technically $6,000 of equity. It's tougher to pull out. I get it, but they are, to me, cash in your bank account is worth more. So, in the conversation that I have, I'll come back to your question. The conversation very frequently I have with my clients is, should I buy down? Should I buy down? Should I buy their interest rate down? I don't like the 7%. I don't like the 6.9%. Should I buy? Well, let's talk about it. We open the chart, the rate stack, as we call it. It's got rates all the way from like 4.8 down to like 7.6. It's got a whole bunch of rates. And I tell them how much it's going to cost them. I'm like, to save $145, it's going to cost you $4,000. For example, your break-even period will be 3 years, which means you will sort of accumulate, you will break even on your invested $4,000 in a certain period. This break-even period needs to be calculated every single time someone wants to do a buy down. And we do that. And a lot of times it comes down to the buyer thinking when rates will drop. If you're going to spend $4,000, go from 7% to 6.5%, thinking you have a better rate. Yes, you have a better rate today. It'll take you 3 years to break even. I'm going to be calling you next year telling you rates are 5. Let's refinance. And you will refi because you'll get 5 or 4.7, God knows how much. And you will not recoup your $4,000 that you invested. And you'll be happy to have the 5% interest rate. So we can't make those calls for our client. They need to make those calls, but it's our job to give them the number breakdown. Yeah.
Yes, to explain.
So
now
you're taking $10,000 and applying to your
to the interest rate
Sorry
alone.
about the detour. Yeah.
No, you're like this is the important information. That's why I'm asking you all these questions, because I know you break it down to our clients on daily basis, but I actually wanted it to be on video, and I wanted it to be in the public access for everybody who needs to hear it. And like those people who are like, it is not always possible to understand it from the day one, like, or from the first time, but that's what we're here for. We're here to sit down and break it down on a piece of paper for you, and to show you all the possible scenarios that can possibly, like, be applied in your case, and so that you can, like, the consumer is always making the decision, and our job is not to make a decision for you guys. We will never do that, but our job is to do the research for you, and to actually present you with all of the options that are available for you at this moment of time, so that you make an educated decision, not just the decision how you feel. Like, you can have the feelings towards the house. That's, like, how you feel matters when you pick the house. But the education and this information matters when you work with your mortgage, because this is your financial liability for the next 30 years.
It's the biggest purchase, biggest asset most of us will have. Yeah, most of us
Absolutely.
don't have private planes and God knows what islands. So going back to your example, $550,000 purchase price, we're not asking for $10,000 of drop in price. We're not offering $540,000. We are paying full ask price of $550,000, but we're getting $10,000 towards our closing costs. And what we're doing with the $10,000, we're not applying to our closing costs. We're going to pay our $6,000 from our pocket. We're applying the $10,000 100% to rate buy down. We're lowering it from, God knows, 7% down to maybe like 5.6, 5.7. We have a $344 of savings per month. Okay, so
the payment goes.
In my example, it goes down to $34.99 in this case. $34.99. This includes everything: insurance, property taxes, mortgage insurance, and homeowners insurance. The 4 extra things that get added onto your loan. So, so basically, what I do typically in this case for the client, because clients, it's hard. If you've never done this before, you need to be shown how to do this. And it's a really simple division, really. Is you take your $10,000 divided by 344 that you save per month, and your break-even period is 29.06 months, which means you will break even in 29 months. That's less than 3 years, like 2.5 years. So do you think rates will drop to 5.6% in the next 2.5 years? That's up to you to decide. If you think rates will drop to 2.5 years, you will not recoup this money that you're spending. You're better off, I don't know, paying $540 for it, getting your instant $10,000 equity. And David will be calling you next year, offering you heavy discounts to refinance. My sentiment is the rates will be really low. They will bottom out right around September of next year, right before elections.
David, now I'm going to catch you for this phrase, really low. When you're saying really low, are you saying 5s or you're saying 3s?
3s will never happen unless
hopefully.
We have another pandemic.
Hopefully.
In the government. Yeah, well, hopefully.
Yeah, not because we're evil people. We don't wish anybody evil. I will explain why I'm saying hopefully.
Very, very heavy burden on our economy. So 3% means we're borrowing, we're basically devaluating our money, we're printing money, we're injecting $40 billion like they did per month. They almost injected $1 trillion in 2020-21 into the mortgage-backed securities. That's why we have what we have today. So I really hope we don't have to go. 3% was the government rescuing our economy since half the country was, unemployed and sitting at homes. So hopefully we'll never get there again. That's an emergency measure. But When we had low inflation, which was 1.9% in December of 2019, it was 2% in January of 2020. That's the government target, right? That's the perfect inflation that we want, 2%, right? The normal, what we're targeting for. The rates were at 5%. Based on that knowledge, I'm going to think that when rates drop and we say low rates, we're going to go down to 5%, maybe high fours, maybe 4.7, 4.8, but hopefully not lower than that. That's a really good interest rate to have.
Yeah, so it is a healthy economy interest rate, guys. So this is the number that we would love for you to remember. You know, like stop hoping for 2008. Stop hoping for the interest rate of 3%. You know, like those are once in a lifetime opportunity, and if you don't grab it right then and there, guess what? Those opportunities are very painful for the country economy. No. So when things like that happened, like they don't happen because somebody wanted to, they happen because certain things have been mismanaged. And that said, when the 2008 happened, like the mortgage industry learned so many painful lessons that better. For every single year after that, our country and the mortgage industry altogether made sure that all the steps were put in place for the next 2008 not to happen. And one of the indicators that it is not going to happen, we had in 2008, we had 80% of the country having like close to like 10% of equity in their homes. So people had zero equity in their homes, in the homes that they're owned. Right now, we have over 50% of the country having actually having less than 50% mortgages on their homes. And this is the difference. That's called lesson learned.
I agree.
Lesson learned that the number of mortgages with zero equity is so tiny that even if they were to go into the foreclosure, all of them at one time, like tomorrow, it is not going to ding our market. It is not going to affect our market. And if you really, really want to see, like you guys are worried about, like everybody's like, oh my God, they're going to be, you know, like the unemployment rate is going to go higher, and we're going to have, you know, like we're going to have like 5 million people losing jobs. David, what happens to a person when they lose a job?
Oh.
To an average person, what happens to them?
I don't know, they drink.
Okay, I guess there's a period where you drink. Like, do you stop eating? Do you stop going purchasing groceries?
Well, no. Okay, I get it. So the essentials have to still happen, and you apply for unemployment. You look for another job.
You go and get another job. Like your life does not end when you get fired. Like
Can I talk about this again? I mean, I touched upon this. So the government is trying to push unemployment high because high unemployment, there's this inverse curve. High unemployment means low inflation. That's happened. Some economists did this in 1957, and they're still holding on to this inverse curve, high unemployment, low inflation. So they're trying to push unemployment high. So it's going to be painful. Some people will lose jobs. Some people will move to different sectors of the economy. And we see this in trucking. Truckers are crying. So things are happening that are going to make a shift. But what I wanted to tell you is I heard something that I guess the top 5 stressful things in a person's life is death, obviously, divorce, getting fired, moving and buying a house, or buying a house and moving. One of the so you and I are in the business of one of the more stressful things in a person's life, and I do talk to my team about this. I'm like, guys, like this is stressful for our clients. Like, make it easy. Make sure that we don't
Absolutely.
weigh heavy on them as far as our conversations, what we ask of them, and they've never done this before. We do it many times a month, but they haven't. So it's important to understand. We had this client came in 3 times to the conference room, brought his kids, brought his wife. He looked at maybe 40 different options of down payments and buying down the interest rate until he decided what the most optimal thing for him was, and he was so stressed. And he canceled the first contract. 2 days later, went into a different contract. This guy was stressed. And being patient and managing this for our clients is so important. Sometimes we lose sight of how stressful it can be for people. It's fun for us.
And it is
we do this every
very
day.
well, like it is very well said, because one of the things that I tell, like my clients, whether they're buying or selling, I always tell them, guys, it is going to be a stressful experience. And unfortunately, with this change coming into your life, whether it is excitement or disappointment, like whether it is, because the good things are happening in your life or bad things are happening in your life, triggering certain events. Having to do with your housing changes. But like the reason I'm here for my clients is to take part of the stress out. And that's what we do. We gather our teams, and people are like, oh, why you always talk with David? Because I think that David and his team are very we actually work very well with our clients, making sure that there is less stress in the transaction, there is less stress with the mortgage. We absolutely propose every time. We try to propose the escrow companies that are also professionals, and we're with this little bits of using our teams, and just to give you little a little peek at the transaction. On any given time, there could be 80 different people working on your transaction, working on your file. And so all of those 80 people are supposed to work as the mechanism of the watch in order for you to close on time. And there are people like your agents who are who are managing. We're pretty much transaction managers. We're managing the project of your home purchase. Right. And there are people like David who is managing all of the financial gears to come into place, using the rules and regulations of the government agencies to make sure that everything happens on time and everything happens with the least stress for you and your family.
I think of you as the general contractor, that you have the client, you're like the captain of the project, so to speak. And we're just subcontractors. We've got the financing side is a subcontractor. We've got escrow. We're all subs performing a smaller part in a bigger project of getting those people into a home. So you guys have a stressful job. I agree.
Because whether we're buying or selling, it's a process where we have to put our whole life into a bunch of boxes. We have to pack our life of a certain period of time into a bunch of boxes. We have to decide what is staying, what is going with us, what is staying, and what is going to be thrown away. And no matter how you approach this process, it is not an easy process. Besides of your daily life, besides of your work, your family, and everything else that you try to accomplish. So, just having this intense process to be trusted to the professionals, that's what helps you to take less time in, concentrating on this process, and to take more time on being with your family, being at work, being productive, and making making your life easy. And this is what we're here for. And I do call everybody not to be afraid, because the fear is the lack of information. Is it a good time to buy? There's no such a great answer that's going to fit everybody's life. It might be a great time for you to buy. It might be the worst time for you to buy. I just had a conversation with the guys, and they were like, oh, can we buy right now? And I explained to them how they can buy, and then the next thing that they told me, they're like, oh, we live rent-free. I'm like, really? They're like, yeah, we've been living rent-free at our friend's house, for, for several years. And I'm like, how long can you live rent-free? They're like, we don't know. Maybe another year, maybe another 2 years. I'm like, live rent free, and
Absolutely.
I'm like, take $1,000 every month and put it into a separate account. I'm like, use this golden opportunity for as long as you can, because if it is 24 months that you get to live rent free, I'm like, it is $24,000 that you can save. And once once you don't have the opportunity for living rent-free anymore, you'll have a down payment. So, yes, I said it. I'm like, you don't need to buy right now.
I'm doing a loan for this kid. He's got a $500 per month rent. He's got roommates. I did my calculator, rent versus own, and I'm like, yeah, since you only pay $500 in this, he's in a contract for a $250,000 condo, and I said, your ownership will trump your rent savings in 2045. So try to continue renting.
Unless he gets a roommate.
He's like, well, he's got roommates. That's why he's paying $500. He's like, I can't have $500, a $500 payment till 2045. Things have to change in my life, so that's why I'm buying. But it was my advice, and he's in contract. I'm like, you're not better off owning. So, so it really depends on the person. There's two things that I guess, two truths that agents and us loan officers, we explain, and we can't dictate. We have to tell whatever you think. If you think homes will appreciate at least 1% in the future, you should buy a home. If you think homes will never appreciate, it will stay the same, renting, you're better off renting because renting's cheaper. Number two, if you're going to have a very cheap or free rent for the rest of your life, if you will have free rent for the rest of your life, let's say you decided to live in your parents' basement for the rest of your life, you are better off staying there because mortgage is more expensive. But even if you pay a certain amount of money and properties appreciate at a certain percentage, and my calculator can calculate all that, you are better off renting for a very limited period of time. You'll come out ahead for 2 years, 3 years, and after that, there will come a point where owning will switch. You will have more equity having owned than rented, and that will continue accumulating for the rest of your life. So advice is very different, client by client. Decisions are theirs. And I am using my rent versus own calculator, and clients are making very, very informed decisions based on this calculator. I need to come to your office and show it to you.
And I would love to have that done. And maybe one more thing that, you triggered me to think about is when I talk to my clients and we're talking about trying to save more money to buy the house of their dream. I mean, guys, don't try to save for the house of your dream.
Oh God,
Just
no.
try to make smaller steps. Don't make a jump from a rental to a $2 million house. That is like, if you win the lottery, absolutely, by all means. If you bought your Bitcoin for $5, years ago, absolutely, you can do so. But honestly, take it one step at a time, and instead of trying to save your money on your savings account, where your money is a constant subject to the ongoing inflation, go ahead and put that money or a part of that money as a down payment in the house where you're going to live, instead of paying rent, which is still somebody else's mortgage. It is still somebody else's mortgage. It's just not yours. It is just another person, like it is just a stranger who is making their mortgage payments with your money and writing off their interest rate and depreciating their home. that you were paying for. So instead of trying to save the money on your account for a bigger house and a bigger down payment, my best advice to you is take that money or part of that money, put as a down payment on a starter home, live in that home for 2 years, let that money appreciate with your home, and move on with that appreciation. You have the same money saved in that house, plus you'll capitalize on the appreciation.
What I tell my younger clients that don't have kids, don't care about the school district, what I tell them is buy as cheap a house as you can, save up 5%, put up your 5%, 3.5%, whatever, buy your house, and then try to save up 5% more to buy another rental home the following year. You can buy a new rental home every 12 months. I'm sorry, a new owner-occupied home.
New owner-occupied.
Move into this new owner-occupied home and rent out the old one. The deciding factor of when you should buy this new home is if you see that your current mortgage payment that you have, it's been 12 months you've lived in this house, as long as you see you can rent this out and the rent will cover your current mortgage, that's it, you're buying another house. As soon as this should be the rule of thumb for every person out there. As soon as you see that the rent is expensive and a rent goes up 4% in Clark County, it has always, it's inflation. Inflation will guarantee that as soon as rent will cover and you'll break even, you and save up your 5%, buy another home, move into that for 12 months, 24 months, doesn't matter, until the market rent covers your mortgage, which you become a landlord with 5% down. This is more benefit. This is probably the most potent, most powerful investment advice anybody can give someone young that could, if you have a decent job, you can save up 3.5%, 5% every 5% every year to move up, and you'll become a landlord with no money. You'll have multiple homes, and you'll be set for life. And this is so much more powerful than your S&P 500 investments. So much more powerful, in my opinion. I'm not a registered, licensed investment advisor, but I have built the calculators to demonstrate this, how quickly someone's net worth can change, and I think anybody should be a serial buyer.
And I can tell you that not everybody who bought their homes in 2006, 7, and 8, at those 3 peak years of the, of the housing prices in the United States, not everybody regrets buying their homes. Not everybody lost their homes. Mm-hmm. But I will tell you another thing, that people who bought in 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, like all those people, they actually say, why didn't I buy sooner? So I would say 3 years versus 15 years. There are 15 years of being happy that people bought, and 3 years of people, not being happy. So it is 5 times better. So make your choices. They're never going to be easy, especially when it comes to such an expensive and big responsibility. But make your choices from the standpoint of education. Don't make them from the standpoint of fear or some illusionary hope that, it's going to be 2008 again, or the rates are going to go down to 3%. Hopefully not, because I don't wish the pandemic on anybody else ever again.
Good talk.
And with this said, I think that we're going to conclude our live for today. We wish everybody happy week. And please remember to call and DM us if you need a personal consultation. Feel free to list your questions. If those are general questions, you can list them under the video, but we always encourage you with the DMs to us. You have our information underneath this video. It will be posted on YouTube with the chapters if you need to. So feel free to reach out to us, and we're here to help.
Thanks, Alexandra. Good talking to you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Same here. Have a great day.
I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.
Talk to you later. Bye.